it's okay to be sitting in a presentation like this, and I mean, you guys are probably more clued up than the usual group I would speak to, but it's okay to be sitting there going, I don't understand this shit. I haven't been to a Google+. What is a LinkedIn? I'm a talking cat. You'd think I'd be cleverer than that. It's not okay to be sitting there in a year's time and still thinking that way, because it doesn't take that long to get yourself up to speed. It doesn't take that long to solve the brains part of the equation. I reckon the brains part of the recipe is the easiest thing to suss. You can just jump right in, you can just do it yourself. The cool thing about social media is the skills you learn in social media in your personal life are almost exactly the skills you'll use in your professional life. And that's not true of that many things in your career. The things you do on Twitter as a human are much the same as the things you'll do on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn as a marketer. So get some brains and get them quick. Of course, you also need normal old marketing brains if marketing is what you're doing. And I realized after sort of comparing slides that you're going to see a bit more of this later on. But this campaign for NZ Tourism built on the insight. Great marketing is built on insights. Great social media is built on insights and customer knowledge. The insight that he who dies with the best story wins, and we'll hear more about that. Also, the insight that you don't really need two kidneys, which I thought was pretty cool. It ties into my offal theme. I don't know if John Alomu would be with you on that, but it's audacious. So brains, you absolutely need brains. And if you haven't got the knowledge in the organisation, ship it in. Don't ship in the heart, and don't ship in the last thing I'm going to talk about, but ship in the brains. Brains is something that can be learned. It's a bolt-on. The third one, and the most important for me, is what's the matter?
I said, oh shit, there goes my job.
No brains. No bollocks. No heart. We'll talk later. The third one is balls or bollocks, audacity. Who's from a bank? Anyone from a bank? Yeah, how many floors of risk do you have in your bank? 2, maybe? 3? Yeah. How many floors, or do you have a whole desk devoted to audacity? And I know that's just a bullshit comment and it's easy for me to make, but to work in this field, to work in social media, you need to be prepared to take risks, and you need to have sign-in, I think, from the very highest level, that scary things might happen. And you might fall on your face and it might all go horribly wrong. And you've got to accept that that's going to be cool. And if you can't accept that, you're probably not ready to do it. Vodafone, I've got two little examples of this. Interestingly, both of them happened within a week of each other on opposite sides of the world in February last year. And they both happened late on a Friday afternoon, which is probably an interesting sort of insight there. So just tread cautiously in your social media engagements on Friday afternoon, because your people are not thinking about the brand, they're thinking about the weekend. This guy possibly was thinking about the weekend. He was in a place called Stoke. I've never been to Stoke. What's Stoke like? Grotty. Yeah, so he wasn't too pleased. Yeah, he was not thinking of how great it was to be in Stoke, the man at the Twitter switch at Vodafone. Does anyone know what's coming after this? Yeah, and just so I didn't make it up, it's a bit harder to read, but that's the original tweet. The first, I don't know what the bottom one's all about. The first response was Vodafone, and they had about 7,000 followers at this point. Vodafone, your account's been hacked. And Vodafone said, you know what, it wasn't hacked. It was a person who broke the rule, and we're really sorry, and they've been suspended. And we apologise to anyone who we may have offended, which is the classic thing, we may have offended. And of course they deleted the tweet. You can delete a tweet, but you can't delete a tweet because, it's everywhere. You can't pull it back. But then the online dialogue, interestingly, the majority of it was not about what a horrific thing Mr. Vodafone had said. Interestingly, going back to the tweet, what do you think I looked at, I think, 3 newspaper blog dialogue columns. What single thing generated the most comment in that tweet? Any thoughts? Who said the apostrophe? Yes, it was the apostrophe. People were more outraged that there was an apostrophe in homos than anything else that was on there, which is after my own heart, I've got to say. But this is interesting. I said this is my one and only chart. It happened Well, you can see where it happened. It happened there. This line is followers. Suddenly, more people were engaging with the Vodafone brand online than were the day before. It went from a gradual climb to a steep increase. People going, oh, Vodafone, they're interesting. They might not be interesting for good reasons, but they're interesting. You know, if you're coming back to two things to be online, be interesting, be useful. They were suddenly interesting. So it grew their community. Maybe not for good reasons, but it grew the community. So got to have the balls to realize that this stuff might happen and that it might not always be totally bad when it happens. One more example and then I'll sit down. 1 week later in Sydney, so if you can't see it, this is the Westpac account in Sydney, February 2010. It was a hot, hot Friday afternoon. They had just released their I think quarterly result, billions and billions and billions of dollars from your pocket. And he says, oh, so very over it today. And the reason both these happened, if you're not a Twitter person, is the people were running their personal account and their work account on the same app. Okay? And you forget which one you're on. It happens. It happened. Oh, so very over day. Oh, so three things happened. Three things happened. This is almost a litmus test. You know, if you're thinking of introducing or promoting social within your organization, tell the story and see what the response is. Three things happened. First thing, maybe you can go dive in a swimming pool full of my money to make you feel better, and so on. And that was the first wave. You pricks. You're over it, we're over it, we're over you. Second wave, almost as fast and even bigger. I loved it. Keep it real. Finally, a bank that feels pain. I think the absolute majority of people are pleased to see Westpac's Twitter is operated by real people. And also, their follower numbers went up. And 200 for them, they only had about 900, I think, to start with, was a big chunk. So bad things aren't always bad. It humanizes the brand. It lets people, you can hate a logo, but it's kind of hard to hate a person. And it was kind of hard to hate the poor guy that did this, that humanized the brand. Third wave, what do you reckon the third wave was? Conspiracy theory. The third wave was people were saying, oh, they planned it all along, those filthy, dirty bastards. They got their agency to think, how can we appear like humans? I know, to err as human. You can always imagine the PowerPoint slides. We're going to err. No, they didn't. It was just a muck-up. So, really simple ingredient. Really simple recipe, tasty ingredients, three essential elements for me for social media success. Heart, know who you are, know what you're about, and then speak freely. I think that's better than trying to, choke people. Brains, if you haven't got them, get them. They're easy to get. That's the easiest one of these three. And if you're going to do it, make sure you've got the balls to follow it through, because sometimes things will go wrong, and many times they will be the best thing that can possibly happen. If you didn't think that was total idiocy, feel free to Google tweet this book, which is basically that, over 90 widely spaced pages. Thank you very much.